Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the John Campea movie vlog. My name, of course, is John Campea, and this is a special companion video to Open Mic and the John Campea Show. Now, every day on Open Mic and the John Campea Show, I take live questions from you guys sending them in, but sometimes I don't always have time to get through all those questions, and I want to make sure that if you send in one of those questions live, that you get them answered. So I do these little companion videos to get to those questions I didn't get to live on the John Campea Show or on the Open Mic Show. So that's what we're doing here today. We got a whole bunch of questions to get through. So let's get things started. And the first one came to us from Anthony R., who wrote, "That Flash episode was so well written, reminded me of season 1 and 2. And yeah, we're talking about the latest episode of The Flash, which was the one with the nuclear bomb that began to detonate. And Flash is trying to is slowing down time. Like, he and the other speedsters are like moving so fast that it's like time is slowed down. And they're trying to figure out a way to save the city now that this nuclear bomb has already gone critical. And you see the explosion starting to happen. So it's a very well written episode. I enjoyed it a lot. Now, I tend to be enjoying Flash episodes more these days that don't involve DeVoe. I am not a fan of the DeVoe character. I'm usually been quite big on Flash villains, and while I do appreciate the fact that they're finally doing a villain that's not another speedster, thank you, the DeVoe one just hasn't done it for me. So episodes that go away from DeVoe, I'm kind of digging, and this one has been really, really good. Spencer Smothers writes, also relating to that episode, if Cisco couldn't open a breach, how did Jessie? You know what, off the top of my head, I don't remember Jessie opening a breach. If you're talking about her using the mechanism back at Star Labs to open it, that's different than what Cisco's powers are. So I'm not quite sure I remember what you're talking about. If you guys know what he's talking about, jump down in the comment section. Maybe I'm just forgetting, and let Spencer know what you think about that. All right, next one comes to us from Dirk Diggler, who writes, if Thanos throws the moon, wouldn't that destroy the Earth on a climate scale? Yeah, so for those of you who didn't see it, the other day, a new image from Star Wars Infinity War, that would be a very different movie, from Avengers Infinity War came out. And it's Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet. And it looks like there's like this lightning and power surge going between the gauntlet and the moon behind him. And he's like this, you see behind him. And it looks like he's grabbing the moon and getting ready to throw the moon, which would be just insane. Just insane. Like, what do you do? Now you're asking, wouldn't that destroy the Earth on a climate scale? I think so. I mean, I'm not an environmental scientist or anything like that, but I think that would pretty much wreck the Earth if that happened. And maybe that's the end of Avengers Infinity War, then making us wait a year for Avengers 4 to see what happens after that. So I don't know what they're doing with that, but it looks pretty damn impressive. Let's see how that actually transpires in the movie. All right, let's move on to the next one. This one comes to us from Sebastián Lerda, who writes, Flash Gordon, better everything, keep Queen music. I don't know. I don't know that I agree with that. Look, the Queen music in Flash Gordon was great, but if you try to make a new Flash Gordon movie and you don't want it to feel really cheesy and sappy, then you don't necessarily have to keep the Queen soundtrack. The Queen soundtrack would work great in certain environments. I don't know that it would work with Flash Gordon. If you're going to try to get people to accept a new Flash Gordon, I would say move on from the Queen soundtrack. Like, I'm dying for a new Highlander reboot, but I don't want them using the same Queen soundtrack. The Queen soundtrack was awesome in the first Highlander, but if you're rebooting, then reboot. Like, don't drag that over as well. That's just my opinion. You clearly have a different opinion, which is totally cool. All right, next one comes to us from Act Naturally Productions, who writes, John, stop joking about the Philipe movie. For those of you who don't know, he's talking about Philipe, the sentient dancing microphone. If the Emoji movie proves anything, it shows that Hollywood will attempt to make a movie about anything. And it's true, I should be careful about the suggestions, even if I'm joking around, because you never know what Hollywood executive is watching my show and may go, you know what, that's not a bad idea. Well, as long as they pay me the marketing rights, I'm fine. Let's see. Warren Lucas writes, hello, John. Thoughts on The Last Boy Scout? Big fan of The Last Boy Scout. I think the most underrated Bruce Willis movie. And was it Damian Wayans or is it Marlon? I can't remember which Wayans is in it. But it's a great movie, and the ending with him dancing a jig. It's a really funny, sharp, quick action film that for the life of me, I've never understood why more people didn't watch it or talk about it. I think like I said, not Bruce Willis's best movie, but I think Bruce Willis's most underrated movie. I love The Last Boy Scout. All right, Eli the Creative writes, when is it too late to bank on nostalgia? I think it's too late to bank on nostalgia, not by date, because some things you can wait 20 years, but there's still a strong nostalgia factor with it. Some things you wait 20 years and it's no longer part of the pop culture consciousness. You know what I'm saying? So it isn't about how much time, but rather depending on how much time has separated you from the original stuff, how much is that property still a part of the pop cultural consciousness? That's where that stands. Like Transformers is still huge with the pop cultural consciousness, even though it came out like decades ago. There are other things that came out decades ago that are no longer part of the pop cultural consciousness, and therefore it's probably a little bit too late to bank on it. So I would say it's too late to bank on it once that thing you're talking about has almost already disappeared from the pop cultural consciousness. If you try to take advantage of it then, you're probably not going to get the benefits of it. So that's kind of the way. And it would be different for every single situation. There's no one standard rule that says, oh, you got to make something within 18 years after it's done or else it's too late. Nothing like that. It all varies from film to film, from property to property, depending on its stature within the pop cultural consciousness at the time. All right. Next one comes to us from Ali Hussein, who writes, do you know that big celebrities like Will Smith and Dwayne Johnson has their own YouTube channel? Do you think that more celebrities like them is going to do the same? Well, I mean, there are a lot of celebrities who really take advantage of social media. Some do, some stay away from it completely. Some should stay away from it completely, and some should take advantage of it more. The Rock has always been very active on social media. And it's no surprise that one of the social media channels he's used is YouTube. YouTube is more than just a social media channel, but at its heart, it kind of is a social media channel in many ways. So the fact that celebrities use social media, and by extension YouTube as well, is no big surprise. Not every celebrity will do it. Many celebrities, it's best for them to stay more aloof, to not be engaged on social media. For some, it's better to do it that way. For others, like The Rock or maybe a Vin Diesel or something like that, it's really beneficial, or a Will Smith. It's very beneficial for them to utilize social media and to reach out to their fans and connect with their fans via video on YouTube or tweets or whatever. So yeah, this is something that's not really brand new, and you'll continue to get some, celebrities who use social media outreach, some who don't. And it depends on the celebrity as to which is the best course of action for them. Let's see. Iceman writes, Iceman. Did you get that reference? Where do you suspect Venom will get, or when do you suspect Venom will get an official rating? How likely do you think they will go R-rated? I think it's likely. I'm not going to bet the bank on it, though. I'm also not one of these people that it's got to be rated R. No, it doesn't. It doesn't need to be rated R. If The Dark Knight didn't have to be rated R, then any comic book movie doesn't have to be rated R. Even Deadpool didn't have to be rated R. I'm glad it was, but it didn't have to be rated R. But I think they will. And I think they'll utilize that R rating, and I'll think they'll benefit from the R rating. But again, I don't know that for certain. I suspect probably in the next month or two, we'll find out what the rating Venom is going to get. And once we get past Infinity War is done in theaters, they'll probably start ramping up some social media push, maybe even another trailer for Venom, and we'll probably hear what the official rating is going to be. Again, I think they will go R, but I'm not willing to bet the bank on that. It's possible they could go PG-13. Which, and again, I'm not going to be upset if they do. You can do a lot with PG-13. A few less F-bombs, maybe no nudity, but you can do a lot with a PG-13. But again, I'm like most of you, I would prefer it to be rated R. Let's see what they do. All right. D Clem 1 writes, over or under 15% that Thanos kills Loki in Infinity War. This is something that has come up a few times on the show. And you know what? Here's my feelings on this. Initially, I didn't think they would kill Loki. I just didn't. He's just too popular. He's just too valuable. There's so much you can do with Loki. He is a guy that in one movie, you can use him as the villain, and in the next, you can use him as a hero. You can use him as comic relief. You can use him as a dangerous threat. Loki is a character who's like a Swiss Army knife in the tool belt of the filmmakers over at Marvel. You can do almost anything with this character. Whatever you need, the Loki character can do. And the fans will eat it up and love him when you're doing it. So for those reasons, I doubted for a while that Loki would die in Infinity War. However, I've had my mind changed. Mostly from you guys writing into me theories and possibilities. And this happens from time to time that I take one position on something, but then you guys keep sending me some really solid arguments. And I go, oh, okay, well, you've convinced me. I think you guys, a lot of you guys have changed my mind on that. That now I actually do think Loki's going to die. And if you're going to set the over-under number at 15, I'm going to take the way over. I think, and again, I have no insider knowledge. I have not seen Infinity War yet, so I don't know this. This is just me speculating, okay? I think that shot in the trailer of Loki holding up the Tesseract, I think that happens on the ship that they're on at the end of Thor Ragnarok. Because remember, in the post-credit scene, their ship gets intercepted by Thanos' ship. I think Thanos boards that ship. I think he confronts Loki because Loki took before resurrecting Surtur in the flame. He came across a Tesseract and stopped. So everybody knew he was going to grab it for sure. So he has it. That's why Thanos tracks down their ship. I think Thanos kicks Thor's ass. I think he just beats the hell out of Thor and throws him off into space, which is how then the Guardians of the Galaxy come across him. I think he maybe kills half of Asgard. I think Thanos probably kills half the Asgardians. And then he confronts Loki. Loki gives up the Tesseract, and then Thanos kills Loki for the way he botched everything in the first Avengers movie. So I think it's telling that we get a glimpse of Loki handing over the Tesseract, but we don't see him in any other things afterwards. You guys have convinced me that Loki dies in the first 10 minutes of Avengers Infinity War. And not yet another Loki fake death, but Thanos death, like gets killed. I didn't think it for a while, but you guys have convinced me, so that's what I think is going to happen. And it will be a loss for the MCU, and it will be a big loss for the MCU. It'll have big emotional impact on Thor, because Thor and his brother have a very deep but complicated relationship. I think it'll be the first big death of Infinity War. Whether or not there'll be any other big deaths after that, I'm not sure. But I think that'll be the first one that kicks things off. So, yep, I'm going to take the big over on Thanos killing Loki. I would put the over-under number actually at 80%. I put it that high. I put it at 80%, which means it's still a 1 in 5 chance that it won't happen, that maybe Loki does live, and I'll be thrilled if he lives, because I love the Loki character. I want to see him in every MCU movie, but I am now of the belief that he's going to bite it in the first 10 minutes of the movie. All right, thanks a lot for the question, DC. All right, Sujith writes, just back from watching Tomb Raider. Tomb Raider is open in a number of international markets right now. Just came back from watching Tomb Raider. Enjoyed it. Not blown away. Vikander is awesome. They've hinted on a sequel. Well, I mean, it's Tomb Raider. It's a franchise. Clearly, there's going to be a sequel if it makes enough money. I've been encouraged that we're hearing okay things about Tomb Raider. Now, normally you'd like to hear great things, but considering the track record that video game movies have, just how brutal the track record has been for video game movies, the fact that we're even hearing okay things for the movie has me very happy. Now, I'm going to go see Tomb Raider tomorrow night. Then I'll know for sure, and I'll put up my review the next morning. Then we'll know for sure, but I am encouraged that we're at least hearing okay things about it, because that's not the case with a lot of video game movies, I should say. So I'm kind of encouraged to hear that. All right. Gallant Sector writes, who's hotter in your eyes? Haley Atwell or Ming-Na Wen? Oh, that's tough. That's tough. On top of the fact that they're both incredibly beautiful human beings, they are both ridiculously talented as well. I don't like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but there are two things on it I really appreciate. One is Clark Gregg playing Coulson, and one is Ming-Na Wen. Ming-Na Wen playing the Cavalry is fantastic. I love when those two are on screen, particularly when they're on screen together. And Haley Atwell, I mean, I love the first season of Peggy Carter. Oh gosh, this is a no wrong answer kind of question. I'll lean towards Haley Atwell, I guess, but goodness gracious, you approach me and say, hey, Ming-Na Wen, John, would like to have dinner with you. First I'll go ask Anne permission. And Ann will say, with who? And I'll say, Ming Na Wen. And Ann will say, go, go. Be very charming. Be very nice to her. Go, go, go. She'll tell me to go. So yeah, I wouldn't turn down dinner with either of these two incredibly talented people. But I guess if I had to choose one, I'll slightly edge towards Haley Atwell. If you ask me tomorrow, I might say Ming Na Wen, though. I mean, good gracious. Okay, Eli the Creative writes, what do you think of A-list actors playing human DC characters? I think it gives it a more realistic feeling. Brad Pitt for Lex, Matt Damon for Oliver. I don't care. I really, you know me. What do you think about X actor playing X role? I don't care. As long as it's a talented person. I don't know that I agree with you that putting a big name person makes something feel more realistic. If anything, it might do the opposite of that. It might feel a little bit more realistic if it's not a face you instantly recognize. But again, to me, whatever. You got a role in a movie and you want to put a talented performer in the role? Sure. Sounds good to me. Whichever talented performer you name, I'm okay with. Let's see. Next one comes from S. Plattist. I'm not quite sure what that spells out. What if DC put out in order Wonder Woman, Man of Steel, Solo Batman, BVS, Justice League? What if what? I don't understand the question. Okay, if they put that out in that order, then the answer is that's the order would have come out. Wouldn't have changed anything else really, but okay, what if? What? I'm asking you. Okay, what if? Well, what? What if what? Okay, they put that out in that order. What's the question? So I'm not really sure how to answer that. Let's see. Pablo Diablo writes, you're 1 year younger than Jared Leto? Yeah, I'm actually a bit younger than Jared Leto. It is crazy how good Jared Leto looks. Stephen Caruso writes, a Coogler Star Wars movie starring Michael B. Jordan as a Republic commando defending a Republic planet from First Order. Thoughts? Why can't Disney be that creative? That's not that creative. Hey, what if? How is it creative? Steven, come on, my brother. Come on, man. How creative is it to say, what if you get like the hottest actor-director duo in Hollywood and put them in a Star Wars movie? That's not creative. That's just, yeah. I mean, there's a million people out there calling for that. As far as Commando defending a Republic planet from First Order, I don't see how that's an interesting scenario, especially since we already know that, the Republic gets crushed. So I don't see what the appeal would be of watching a micro story like the First Order trying to take over one little planet, when ultimately we know that the entire Republic falls anyway. So I don't really see that as creative. I don't see anything creative about that. Pitch to me a director or whatever that nobody's thinking of. Maybe that can be considered creative. But Stephen, my brother, I just don't see mentioning one of the hottest directors in Hollywood right now, and one of the hottest stars that is basically his muse, doing a Star Wars movie. I don't see how that's all that creative. Don't get me wrong, I'd be down for it, but I'm down for any good director and any good actor being in any Star Wars movie. So there's that. Ray Lewis writes, hey, John, think there will be another iconic score like the Lord of the Rings series? I think there have been other scores that have come out that have been better than the Lord of the Rings series. And I love the score in the Lord of the Rings series for sure. But I think there have been others that have come out since Lord of the Rings already that have been better than it. So yes, absolutely. Many more will come out that will be as good and better. Let's see. It's Pookie. What a great name. Writes, got an inside scoop that the new live action Star Wars show is based on some old winter holiday Star Wars movie. Can't be bad. Looking forward to it. Oh God, the Hollywood Star Wars special. It is crazy. Everybody knows about the Star Wars holiday special, but still so many people have never watched it to truly grasp the horror that is the Star Wars holiday special. And there's no excuses. It's on YouTube now. You can find it. So do me a favor, treat yourself, go sit back, relax, and watch that Star Wars holiday special. It's head-shaking, to say the least. Head-shaking. Ali Hussein writes, have you seen the latest episode of Supernatural? Was that the first episode without a monster and demons ever? Are you excited about the Scooby-Doo crossover? And yes, actually, the last episode of Supernatural was fantastic. I really liked it. But I remember watching it thinking, this might be the first episode of Supernatural without anything supernatural in it. It's just a straight up story about them against some other human dudes. There's no monsters, no supernatural, no spirits, no magic, nothing. It's just a straightforward episode. And I thought it was pretty cool. Now, yes, the next, I don't know if is it the next one? But the Scooby-Doo crossover is coming, where they're doing a supernatural, and it's going to be animated with Scooby-Doo. It makes my heart happy. It makes my heart happy that they're doing this. I think this is one of the best ideas ever, and only a show like Supernatural could actually do it. So I am pumped for this. I cannot wait. And yeah, I'm very much looking forward to it, Ali. All right. Corey Jimenez writes, "Hey, John, just took the Warner Brothers studio lot tour. Good for you. I love that tour. Very fun. Did not know other studios could film there, like Universal and the famous Jurassic Park T-Rex Jeep chase scene. Yeah, and you know what? If you go to Universal Studios and take their studio tour, they talk about that as well. A lot of these big Hollywood studios, they have agreements with each other that they're allowed to go and use each other's lots. It's just good for everybody. They're competitors, but they understand, hey, if we work together in this, we'll make our lives easier. So sometimes, Warner Brothers might have something on their lot that's perfect for something Universal shooting, and they'll go and shoot it at the Warner Brothers lot. Warner Brothers may have something that would just work perfectly shooting at the Walt Disney lot, and they'll go shoot at the Walt Disney lot. They have this agreement with each other. They can use each other's facilities. And it's that's a great example of competitors knowing when it's in their best interest to also cooperate. And you get some all-time iconic movies from one studio that was actually shot on another studio's lot. It's really fun. And by the way, guys, let me use this opportunity again to plug the Warner Brothers and the Universal Studio Tours. If you get a chance to visit LA, take an afternoon and do the Warner Brothers lot tour. It is amazing. And it's fascinating at the same time. You get to see some really, really cool stuff. And as well, take the Universal. The Universal tour is a little bit different in that you do get a tour of the lot, but it's also like a theme park ride at the same time. They got their King Kong stuff and they got their Fast and Furious stuff. It's really, really fun. I almost take that tour almost every time I go to Universal Park. So if you get a chance, do check those out. I think you'll enjoy it. All right, next one comes to us from Holid Love, who writes, "John, if we suggest a topic and you don't pick it, how long should we wait before asking the same or similar question again? Or do you reuse them?" If you send in an email question and it doesn't get answered within about 4 or 5 days, then that means I didn't pick it. Now, it means I could have not picked it for several different reasons. One, maybe I just didn't think it was a good enough question. Two, maybe I answered the same question just a few days earlier. Three, maybe somebody else asked a very similar question or an almost identical question. I just for whatever reason decided to go with that one instead. Remember, I get about 100 emails, things a day, just at my john@thejohncampiashow.com email address for people suggesting topics, but I take like 3 of them. So try to make sure it's an original question. See if you can make it a question. I'll lean more towards it, actually, if it's a question specifically about a big piece of movie news that's current. There's that as well. I would say if it doesn't get answered in the first 4 or 5 days, it doesn't necessarily mean I didn't pick it because I didn't like it. There could be other reasons as well. Try again in about a week. And if you try it 2 or 3 times, then it probably means I just don't want to use the question. And you should move on and ask a different type of question. So that's the best way I know how to answer that. Thanks for asking, Hall. It's a good, valid question. Christopher Benson writes, "Where the hell is Jeffrey Wright? Haven't seen him in a while. Loved him in Syriana and his Oscar-worthy performance in Shaft." Well, I mean, he's just in Westworld. He was also just in something else as well. Well, hold a second. Let me just pull up his IMDb page, because I know he was just great in Westworld. Let's see here. He was just in Westworld, and he really wasn't in anything else a lot lately. He does a voice in BoJack Horseman. I know that. And of course, he was in the Hunger Games stuff. That was 2015. But yeah, he has been very busy doing Westworld. So that's where a lot of his time's been tied up. Jeffrey Wright has one of the best pure voices in Hollywood. Like, you got some iconic voices. You got James Earl Jones. You got Jeremy Irons. You got a few others as well. But Jeffrey Wright has to be up there too. He's just got a dynamic voice. I love his voice. I think he should do more animated stuff, as a matter of fact. I just think he's that good. All right, let's move on now. The next one comes to us from TNES93, who writes, do you think the DCCW TV shows should think about cutting their episodes from 22 to maybe 15 or 17 with the success of Black Lightning? Their stories suffer in mid-season. Nah, I've never believed in that. I'm totally fine with longer seasons. Just make your episodes better. Or incorporate a couple of stories into your season. If you're going to do 22 episodes, great. Just come up with more stuff to do. Look, I've seen 8-episode seasons of different shows where there's been a filler episode or two. I mean, look, so it seems like regardless if you do 22 episodes, 12 episodes, 8 episodes, it sometimes feels, other than maybe Game of Thrones, there always seems to be a filler episode or two here and there. But there is no reason why you can't make 22 good episodes. I mean, if you're going to have the odd filler episode that's not so great, hey, that's the law of averages, no problem. But I like longer seasons. I like 22 episode seasons. I like 24 episode seasons. I really, really do. That's not to say I don't like, 8 episode seasons or 12 episode seasons. Sure, that's great. But if I like a show, I like to get more of it. And so that's just kind of the way I feel about it. Let's see. Nathan C. writes, how long has that Philipe the Microphone 2020 project been on your IMDb page? Dancing isn't enough, by the way. I think you should give him an Iron Man suit. Oh, please tell me somebody didn't put a Philipe the Sentient Dancing Microphone credit on my IMDb page. Let me see here. I don't... Yep. Somebody put Philipe the Sentient Dancing Microphone thing on my IMDb page. Oh, sorry about that. Absolutely ridiculous. I don't know why they do that, but they did it, which is fine. So, yeah, I'm going to have to go in there and take that off. So thank you so much to whoever put that up there, because I'm going to have to take that off now. All right. Let's see. Speedfire writes, when do the review embargo for Tomb Raider lift? Well, the screening is Tuesday night, which is tomorrow night. And the review embargo lifts the following morning. So Wednesday morning. Wednesday morning is when you're going to see the reviews go out, which is a little late, but it's not terrible. At least it's 2 days early. Let's see. Eli, the creative, writes, over under 1% that Warner Brothers will retcon Justice League and Batman vs. Superman and continue with Wonder Woman, Man of Steel 2, the Batman, Green Lantern Corps, etc. Then bring together the Justice League for the first time and then be, no, 0%. That's no. That would confuse the audience massively, and understandably so. That's just, if you're going to reboot, you reboot. You can't do that. So I'll take below 0% on that. The 510 Zone writes, hey John, longtime viewer, love your show. Thank you so much. When it comes to 80s remakes, I'd like to see a remake of Remo Williams. Do you think it would hold up? Oh, absolutely. Remo Williams, The Adventure Begins, is one of my favorite movies of that era. With Chun. Chun is such a opposite DC or PC character. Chun is absolutely one of the most hilarious characters from a movie of that era. He is so funny. And Remo, and just the whole notion that they fake this dude's death and make him think he's dying, all that kind of stuff to recruit him into the secret agency and blah, blah, blah. It's such a great story. And it's actually based on a series of novels, I think called The Destroyer. I could be wrong with that, but it is based on a series of novels. And there are several. And there have been talks over the years about them doing another, either restarting the Remo Williams thing and then doing stories 2, 3, 4, and 5 and all that kind of stuff. I don't know if it'll actually get around to it, but I totally believe you could do a Remo Williams today and update it, and it would work perfectly. I think it would be great. I don't know, because Chun says such misogynistic things, I don't think you can get away with that humor today. But oh my God, in the day it was hilarious. It was so funny. Okay, let's move on. Javier Belmer writes, hey John, I want to recommend you and the viewers to watch the Waco miniseries from Paramount Networks, as well as the Made in Abyss anime. Well, look, the thing about the Waco, I've been dying to watch that. I just got to find time to sit down and watch it. Michael Shannon, I believe Taylor Kitsch is in it. It's got a great cast. It's of a fascinating story. I remember when I was a kid following the events of what was going on in Waco, Texas. and the whole David Koresh thing and being fascinated about it. And this series looks amazing, and I cannot wait to watch it. I'm glad you watched it. Thank you for the recommendation. All right, let's move on. Ryan Crooks writes, thoughts on Bates Motel, my favorite TV show ever. Never watched an episode. It's just one of those shows that I just never had the time, never made the time to get around to watching. I've got a number of friends who really like that show as well, but yeah, I've never seen it, so I can't really comment on that. All right, PJ Barnes writes, over under 60%, Ready Player One has Avatar's slow bow climb. I don't know what the slow bow climb is. I'm not quite sure what we're talking about, so I can't answer that. Sorry, PJ. Rodrigo Ortiz writes, John, I was part of the quote-unquote general movie-going audience until I saw your shows. You opened my eyes to everything going on in movies, and I thank you so much. Oh, thank you so much, Rodrigo. I really appreciate that. Being a deeper part of the film fan community is awesome. I love being in the film fan community. I love being, somebody who can just experience films on that level and has a community of people like you guys to share it with. It's awesome. So, Rodrigo, I'm super glad that you joined the ranks of the film fan community. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that, man. All right. Just a couple left here. Alex Pitt writes, great new segment with the Stardust app, John. Well, thank you so much. A little bit earlier today on the John Campea Show, we did our first What We're Watching segment utilizing the Stardust app. And the way that it works is, so thank you for giving me a chance here to plug it. Actually, I'll even bring up the little graphic here since you're bringing it up. The way it works is Stardust has become a sponsor of the show. Now, you guys know I turned down a lot of sponsors, but this app I think is great for the film fan community. And basically, it's a very simple app. You use it to record your own 33 to 30 second quick reaction to a television show, a trailer, or a movie, or something you can recommend to the audience. And you share that, and it's a social media network, and it's great. Now, the added little feature is you can tag people. So if you tag me on your reaction or your review, then I might pick it to put into this new segment we're doing called What We're Watching. And what I basically do is play like 5 reactions. I pick 5 reactions out that you guys have sent in, and then I do a quick response to each of the actions. And we did the first one today. I had a lot of fun doing it. I'm glad you liked it. We're going to do a few more of those. So thanks a lot for mentioning that, Alex. Let's see. Next one comes to us from Courtney Haynes, who writes, watch 1, best video game movie or worst MCU movie. All right, so the worst MCU movie is probably, I'm going to probably say Iron Man 2. So would I rather watch Iron Man 2 or would I rather watch Mortal Kombat or the Angelina Jolie Tomb Raider or Warcraft? Ooh. If I had to choose one that I could watch right now, and it either is going to be Iron Man 2 or Mortal Kombat, I'd probably go Mortal Kombat. So yeah, that's the way I'll answer that one. All right. Viper91 writes, Tomb Raider embargo lists 2 days before release on Wednesday. Yeah. Is this a red flag? Have you heard anything? 2 days is not great, but it's not a massive red flag. Like 48 hours before it comes out, not a massive red flag. The day before, that's a full, that's twice as short. A day before, big red flag. 2 days before is not great, but I wouldn't consider it a giant red flag at this point. Not if you're giving them at least 2 days notice. And your 2 days seems to be enough to get word out that if the movie sucks, the word can get out that it sucks 2 days early. 1 day before is cutting it really close. But so I will say again, not great, but not a red flag either at the same time. Hudson Smith writes, John, I'm worried Deadpool 2 will be like Kingsman 2, not able to capture the magic of the first film, I think is what you mean. I'm not really worried about it. You got the same writers. You got the same creative guy behind it. You got the same writers, first of all. That's the most important thing. You still got Ryan Reynolds, who was the main engine of it. And you've got a good director in there. It's not Tim Miller, who directed the first one. But for the most part, you've got the same team. Again, you might have been reading these rumors that there was this test screening and people didn't like the test screening. I mentioned this on the John Campea Show earlier today. I talked to somebody yesterday that said that was dead false. Not true. So take that for what it's worth. I mean, I wasn't there. I don't know if the movie's good or bad. I have no idea. I'm just relaying to you what I heard. It's just that these reports going around about that there was this test screening and people hated the test screening. I'm hearing that's not true at all. So Take that for what it's worth. I have no idea what that's worth, to be honest with you. And the final question today comes to us from Denmar95, who writes, "Hi, what's your opinion on the speech Little Feather gave the Oscars in 1973? If you watch the speech, you will hear many people booing at her. Any impact on Hollywood?" You know what? I think I saw that speech once, like 15 years ago. I can't even remember the speech. So that's a difficult type of question to send in live because I can't prepare for it. So I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea what to think about it. I don't even remember the speech hardly at all. I think I know the speech you're talking about, but I think I first came across it and watched it. Obviously, this is before my time, but I think I remember watching it like 15 years ago, but this is something that really should be an emailed in question so I can prepare for it. I really can't offer anything other than that. All right, guys, that will do it for me for this installment of a special companion video to all the stuff, making sure I'm getting caught up on all the live questions that you guys sent in. Listen, guys, while you're here, if you're not subscribed to my channel already, click on that subscribe button, become a subscriber to my YouTube channel. Also, make sure you're following me on social media. Just jump on Twitter and follow me at John Campy. And listen, guys, the whole reason this channel even is able to exist is because of the support of my Patreon supporters. My Patreon supporters are why I'm able to do these shows. So do me a favor, if you like watching these shows, just head on over to www.patreon.com/JohnCampia. There you'll get all the information about what it means to be a Patreon supporter, how being a Patreon supporter keeps these shows on the air, and also what benefits there are to being a Patreon supporter, and then maybe you'll consider being a Patreon supporter too. And of course, guys, look down in the description of this video and find a link to this app, the Stardust app, and then you can participate in the show as well. Just go download it, try it out. It's free. It's simple to use. I think you're going to have a lot of fun using it. All right, guys, that will do it for me for this installment of my little video blog. Thanks so much for joining me. My name's John Campia, and until my next video, bye-bye.